Hello, everybody. We are continuing our read along with my book, Redefining Me Lessons Learned in the Refiner's Fire. And today we are reading Lesson 1, Xenon. Let's take a brief trip into the world of chemistry. Xenon is a member of the noble gas family that is colorless and odorless. It is known to be inert, meaning it's usually unreactive, so it does not normally participate in chemical reactions, nor does it form new compounds. Xenon is a very stable gas on its own because it has a full set of valence electrons. Chemical reactions happen when atoms do not have full sets of valence electrons, so they will bond with atoms from other elements to form a compound set. Xenon's already full, i.e., complete set, allows it to be comfortable on its own. Now, I know everyone is not a science freak, and this may sound completely boring and out of place in a book about redefining me, but allow me to explain. Growing up and even now, I was strange, definitely weird, 100% a nerd, always the smart girl. What I wasn't was always proud of it. So in high school, I had nerd friends. We were all headed somewhere, and it was easy to be okay with being the weird one. At church, we were all in Bible study together, got baptized and Holy Ghost filled in our teens, and even though I was always on the list of the smart ones for Sunday school and anything else, it was still okay to be weird me. But then came college. Life starts to look a little different when the support system you've always leaned on isn't in your face every day. What I began to learn quickly was that churchy or plain, smart girls with glasses who were engineering majors rarely got asked on dates. Well, myself, rarely got asked on dates. Even the boys in the engineering groups seemed to flock to the girls who weren't. There is no lonelier feeling than being in a crowd of people, but feeling and sometimes actually being alone, which in hindsight was just really odd and should have been a flag because I've always been fine being alone and not in or part of the group. I marched to my own beat, but it was the wanting to fit in combined with being away from home that suddenly made me feel that it wasn't okay to be different. I was always the square peg trying to fit into the circle opening. Things changed my junior year when I learned that I was a high commodity among men who weren't originally from the United States. But it wasn't because I was cute or smart or even a great person. It was because I had a figure. I was the chunky version of a brick house. Everything else about me was a bonus. I had brains, beauty, and booty. They could take me home to at least the men in the family. Don't get me started on mothers. By the end of the first semester, I'd met someone who thought the world of me. Everything was great until about 2 years later, when it just wasn't. One day, according to him, I was too dramatic. Now, sidebar. During that particular semester, I'd had surgery on my dominant hand and was still recovering. My grandfather passed away the day before I had to go home to have the cast removed, and at the same time, my grandmother had just undergone surgery to remove cancer and was about to begin treatment. I was grieving some other events of life, and in my senior year, I was failing two of the four classes that I needed to graduate. With all of that, I think I was entitled to be a little dramatic. My life was going through drastic change at unprecedented rate, and here I was listening to this dude tell me, "You're a wonderful person. You've been there for me. You're my best friend. Let's stay friends." At the time when I needed him the most, the person who was claiming to be my best friend was leaving me to deal with life and all its issues alone. And then the twins set in, rejection and insecurity, and they hit hard. It was the second time that I'd been dumped at a pivotal point of time in my life, and I could not understand why. If I have never been anything else in life, I have always been resilient, and this situation was no different. In the words of my grandfather, to heck with him. But of course, he didn't say heck. I pushed past my feelings with the help of family and friends. I focused on graduating and being the best me that I could be. And that's just what I did. Secretly, I attributed the fall of the relationship to my ambition. I'd always speculated that things came to an end because it was more than apparent that I was going to graduate that May, and he wasn't. In his culture, the women could achieve, but never at the expense of or seemingly before the man. Well, after failing in general, those two classes delayed my degree. I had to move back home. I had no job after graduation, and the list goes on. I decided that my ambition and intelligence were too much, so I hid them. In meeting a new guy, I would highlight my job as a bank teller, only talk about school if they asked, even though I just started a master's program and going, I was just going to focus on being the cute curvy girl and make all my moves in silence. I hardly even mentioned church, although I made it to attend a point to attend more than I did not. Still participated in a few events and still wholeheartedly loved God, but steadily ignored the many things he'd been saying to me. All of that was great until I felt the call to become a teacher. My primary reason for my choice of occupation was because I was tired of seeing brilliant girls dumb themselves down for a boy. Yet here I was doing the very same thing that bothered me about them. I have always been a huge proponent of not being a hypocrite and practicing what I preached. I knew I needed to walk in the confidence that I wanted my female students to have. So I had a pep talk with myself. I stood in the mirror and said, "This is for the birds." And in the words of Jay-Z, this can't be life. This can't be love. There's got to be more. And at that moment, God said, "Yeah, absolutely right. Now let's get to work." I needed to become Xenon. Being Xenon did not mean that I needed to be colorless, unseen, and non bonded, nor did it mean that I needed to develop the attitude that I am an island and can stand by myself because I'm all I got. Being Xenon meant that I needed to understand that I was complete by myself and stand on it. I had to remind myself that I have a full set of electrons. My completeness lies in knowing that I am God's precious daughter. He covers me. He protects me. He completes me because in him I am complete. I am comfortable on my own and in my own self. I have a full set of electrons. How did I do that? I'm glad you asked. Let's go to Colossians 2, verses 7 through 10. It gives us a step by step guide. Now, teacher tip I am paraphrasing and shortening. Go read the whole passage for yourself. Step 1 Colossians 2 and 7 says, "Let your roots grow down into him and let your life be built on him. Be like the tree, rooted and grounded and unmoving," from Jeremiah 17 and 8. To grow your roots in him, read the word, study it, and pray over what you are reading for clarity and insight. As much as this is the digital age, I suggest getting a notebook or a journal, your favorite pen, and write these things down. Write your questions, what stands out, and your thoughts in general. Even if you use the digital version, take full advantage of the highlight and note features. Write it all down and revisit it from time to time to see your growth and or to get new revelations. Step 2. Colossians 2 and 8, the A clause. Don't let anyone capture you with empty philosophies and high-sounding nonsense that come with human thinking. Two things here. Number one, people's opinions about you are not your business. If they choose to share it, you don't have to accept it, especially when said opinion goes against the things that you know God has called you to be. Number two, if your circle is full of those people, then it's time to find a new circle. See, many of my friends from my youth are still my friends today because throughout the years of other people's thoughts, they always reminded me to be who I was and be okay with it. Surround yourself with people who will encourage you, stretch you, and pray for you. Do not accept anyone else's limitations of you and on you. We serve a limitless God. When they want to impose their doubts or limits on you with all the why you need to do that or, well, I got this far and I'm good, thank them for their input and go on about your way. In the words of Rocco, you just do you. I'ma do me. I'm sorry, y'all. I haven't been quite delivered from the spirit of hip hop yet, but I digress. Keep in mind that everyone who questions you is not anti you or against you or hating. But this is also where you need to seek discernment. For those who care about you, the questions are to point out things that you may not have seen or have not considered. It's for them to get on the same page with you and support your efforts. That may come with caution, but it will not come with doubts. Step 3, Colossians 2 and 8, the B clause. Don't let anyone capture you with empty philosophies and high sounding nonsense that come from the spiritual powers of this world other than from Christ. Put 2 Corinthians 2 and 5 into action. Cast down imaginations and everything that exalts itself against the knowledge of God and bring every thought into captivity. Make it a point to constantly work to renew your mind. In today's colloquialisms, stop speaking negative affirmations about yourself and over yourself. Life and death are in the power of your tongue. Proverbs 18 and 21. Speak the word of the Lord over yourself. Remind yourself of who He says you are. Step 4. Now walk it out and claim who you are by Colossians 2, verses 9 and 10. You have to know and stand on the fact that in Christ lived the fullness of God in a human body, and that you are also complete through your union with Christ, and He is Lord over everything. You are complete. You are whole by yourself. You are exactly who He made you to be. And even if you don't feel like you are right at this moment, it's okay. You are His. His plans are always for your good and never for your harm. Jeremiah 29:11. Whatever you feel you lack, it's in Him. Press in, lean in, pray in, and receive the love of the Father. Replace your heaviness with praise and walk in His completeness. Now listen, I am far from perfect. I walk through this daily. Some days it seems like by the minute, but I can tell you it all began with a clear decision, and that decision was to become who God called me to be, no matter what. Becoming a teacher changed many things about the trajectory of my life, but it was only the beginning. I began to boldly and proudly let my smart be known. The response to what do you do went from, oh, I'm just a bank teller, to I teach math and I'm pursuing a master's degree in information technology. And then I'd wait for either the look of shock and amazement or the one that said, oh, snap, she's smart. Admittedly, it became funny to see the expressions change as they would politely end conversations and go on their way. At the time, though, despite my newfound mission to live out my dream of becoming my own version of Wonder Woman, I had a weakness, as most superheroes do. The attention of men who appeared to accept me for my smart and validate it, but secretly wanted to crush it. Overcoming that hurdle is a whole book in itself. But what I can tell you today is that beyond the shadow of a doubt, I do not need the validation of others to complete me. My completeness lies in knowing that I am God's precious daughter. He covers me, He protects me, He completes me because in Him I am complete. I am comfortable on my own and in my own self. I know that I have a full set of electrons. I no longer live for or look for reactions. Allow me to reintroduce myself, excuse me. Hello, nice to meet you. I am Xenon. And the day I embraced that was the day that my narrative began to change. So, in this chapter, we talk about identity and coming back into agreement with the identity that God gave you, not the one that other people have created from you, not the one that maybe your family has demanded, relationships, be it family, children, romantic, etc. You are not any of those things. You are who God made you to be. And if you can't really get in touch with that, use the guide. Colossians 2, verses 7 through 10. Pray through them, walk through the steps. Take the time to go back and sit with those verses of scriptures and just pray the scripture. Ask God to show you what is the high sounding nonsense that's coming from other people that you have decided to take on as who you are and who your life has sum totaled you to be. What are the things that you need to look at? How can you become more grounded? What's your path to being more rooted and grounded in Him? Do you need to cut certain people off? Do you need to stop watching certain things? Do you need to change the types of music you listen to? So, as you just heard, yes, throughout my earlier writing, I was still working through a lot of things of what I decide to listen to and what I don't. And so one of the things that I had to realize for myself was that music played a big part in me carrying a lot of the mindsets that I was carrying. And I love music. I still, if I'm out and I hear it, 90s and 2000s R&B, like yes, that's the music we grew up on. We know it. But a lot of it was really toxic and very like detrimental to the growth and the building of our mindsets. And so you're listening to all of these songs that put you in this certain thing. Like I was listening to a snippet of a video from Damien Hall, and he was talking about the God song "Piece of My Love." So ninth, 10th grade, everybody's walking around singing this song, and there's a part in the song where people assume that Aaron Hall calls a woman out of her name. Now, word on the street from Guy is that he was basically like scatting, and that's just how it came out in the recording. And he said, but in hindsight, you really had to kind of almost be the name that people think he said if you are really going to sit there and be okay with a man telling you, I can come over here, we can do what we do, and I'm gonna roll out. Don't ask me no questions. Don't say nothing about it. We just gonna do what we do and peace out. He was like, you have to have some level of disconnect going on inside yourself and in your own mental capacities. And it's true. 20 years later, yeah, we all jamming. You can have a piece of my no, like that's not okay. Nor is that the topic of this video, but it's just an example. And so even with things like listening to Jay-Z and Rocco and all the stuff with the catchy hooks and all of that. Yes, they're catchy. They're things that we can throw in conversations because we're Gen X, we're millennials, we're any of the things, right? But I don't build my life around these songs anymore. If the words pop up, it's just because they fit the situation. It's like TV commercials. You certain jingles you hear. People start talking too long. You might start singing the Luna jingle, or somebody's like, you know, um, hangry, and you'll just look at it and be like, not going anywhere. Grab a Snickers. It's that type of thing. Like it just pops up when it pops up, right? But the point is that when you take the time to monitor what you watch, what you hear, who you listen to, what conversations you engage in, any of those things, that is you taking the step to become more rooted and grounded in the word. And so then things like, all of the different things that come out now, they start sounding like the high sounding foolishness that they are. You can recognize them for what they are because you spent time in the Word and with the Father yourself, and you've asked questions. He's answered. You have written documentation of it. You have your notes in your phone, your tablet, your iPad, whatever else you have, but you have started building your own study history with the Lord. And when you start building that study history with Him, He begins to reveal and unravel all sorts of things as long as you're open to being a willing vessel and a listening vessel. And so, my admonishment to you today on your path to perhaps redefining you this week, let's focus on Colossians 2, verses 7 through 10. Your homework, because what kind of teacher would I be without one? Take some time, sit with that, journal it out, And if you want to talk about it in our private YouTube community, make sure you subscribe and talk about it. If you want to talk about it personally, social media links are also in the show notes and all of that stuff. Y'all know I'm still getting out the cobwebs with all this YouTube stuff. It's cool, but we gonna get there. But yeah, drop a note. Tell me what you think. Join the community. We can chat over there, and we gonna get there. We are all gonna redefine ourselves into the versions of ourselves that the Lord would have us to be. I'll see you next week for next week's read along. We are moving in to chapter 2, which is called His Will or Mine. Only one could be done. I'll see you next week. Peace.